Comment on the video, where are people watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The wind howled across the empty stretch of Highway 67, whipping snow into powdery drifts that glistened beneath the sickly yellow glow of a lone street lamp. Derek Wallace stepped outside his disabled sedan, heart pounding as the cold bit through his wool coat. His breath erupted in ghostly plumes that vanished into the night. He had been returning from a late shift at the mill, the roads deceptively clear until an axle bolt snapped, leaving him stranded miles from town. Inside the creaking cab, his phone showed a single bar and no nearby service. He tried the ignition again, one last sputter, then silence. Derek wrapped his scarf tighter, pressing his hands into his coat pockets, willing warmth to return. The world around him felt hollow and unforgiving, the only sound the whisper of wind through skeletal trees. He stared down the road, searching for headlights, any sign of rescue. In the distance, a pair of lights emerged, cutting through the darkness. Relief bloomed in Derek's chest, until he recognized the vehicle. A police cruiser, engine idling, its red and blue flashes painting the snow in harsh contrast. As it rolled to a stop, Derek braced himself. He had obeyed every speed limit, maintained his car meticulously, never given them reason. Still, when the passenger door opened and Sergeant Mara Conley and Officer Ethan Brooks stepped out, he knew this encounter would not be routine. Sergeant Conley approached, hair tucked under her patrol cap, expression unreadable. Officer Brooks lingered behind her, a smirk on his lips that chilled Derek more than the winter air. Conley raised her flashlight, forcing Derek to squint through its beam. "Car trouble, sir," her tone was flat, indifferent. "Yes, ma'am," Derek replied evenly, forcing calm into his voice. "Axle bolt sheared off. I got no service to call for a tow." Brooks crossed his arms, leaning against the cruiser. "Not much to do out here. You got anything in the trunk we should know about?" He nodded to Conley, who did not ask permission before yanking open Derek's rear door and rummaging through the bags. Derek swallowed, hands raised in an instinctive gesture of cooperation. Every moment they lingered, every flick of Brooks's smirk felt like an accusation. "Everything you need is there," he said quietly, eyes locked on Conley's flashlight. Conley shut the trunk and stepped close, her voice lowering. "Suburbs like yours, must be nice. People don't break down out here often." He kept his composure. "Suburbs don't control the roads." Brooks chuckled. "On a night this cold, maybe a few push-ups will warm you up." His grin widened. Derek's heart rate spiked. He recognized the trap, a power play disguised as concern. Conley frowned. "Do it. Show us you're not hiding anything." Derek's jaw clenched. For a long moment, silence pressed in. Then, with measured grace, he lowered himself to the icy shoulder and completed 5 meticulous push-ups, each rep pushing frost into his cheek. Conley and Brooks counted aloud, their voices echoing in the still night. When he finished, Derek rose, coat dusted in snow. "You're good," Brooks said, feigning reluctance. "Be on your way." Conley nodded once. "Stay safe." She climbed back into the cruiser, Brooks followed. The lights receded, leaving Derek alone again. As the engine roared to life, Derek exhaled. He would remember this night, not as an act of humiliation, but as a solemn reminder that respect could not be assumed. He would return to the station soon enough, his fate intertwined with those who had judged him unjustly. 3 weeks after the freezing roadside encounter, Derek Wallace stood in the bright fluorescent lights of the Riverside County Sheriff's Station, uniform crisp and medals gleaming. Today, he was no longer the stranded motorist, he was chief of police. The precinct's lobby buzzed with murmurs, officers in dark uniforms exchanged glances, some respectful, some wary. Derek took a steadying breath, recalling the cold night when Sergeant Conley and Officer Brooks had reduced him to push UPS on the icy shoulder. It had been a humiliating test of power, and tonight, the power dynamic would shift. He stepped to the podium in the briefing room, scanned the crowd, and fixed his gaze on Conley and Brooks, seated in the third row. Their expressions flickered: surprise, suspicion, anger. He began, his voice measured but firm. "I know some of you wonder how a community leader ends up stranded and humiliated on a snow-lined highway. I won't rehash every detail. What matters is what we do with the experience." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "Effective immediately, there will be zero tolerance for abuse of power within this department." A hush fell. Conley's jaw tightened, Brooks shifted uncomfortably. Derek continued, "Our mission is to protect and serve. That means respecting every citizen's dignity, regardless of circumstances. We will no longer turn a blind eye when officers overstep their authority." He clicked a remote. On the screen appeared stills from the dashcam footage, capturing Conley and Brooks' harsh interrogation that night. The images were unflinching: the raised flashlight beam, the forced push UPS, the flashing patrol lights painting the snow red and blue. Conley's hand shot up. "Chief, that footage doesn't tell the full story." Derek held up a hand. "It tells enough. There will be an internal investigation into that incident and any related complaints." He turned to Captain Angela Reyes, who nodded. "Captain Reyes will convene the inquiry panel immediately." He pressed on. "We will also implement new transparency measures. Every use of force incident must be logged with supervisory review within 24 hours. Officers will attend mandatory de-escalation and bias awareness training. Any refusal will result in disciplinary action." Murmurs of cautious approval rippled through the room. Some veteran officers exchanged uneasy looks, newer deputies stiffened in pride. Brooks leaned toward Conley, voice low, but Derek caught a hint of fear in Brooks' eyes. He closed his address. "Today marks a new era for Riverside County. An era when justice is not just a badge, but a principle guiding every action. I trust you will hold each other, and me, accountable. Thank you." He stepped down as subdued applause rose. Captain Reyes approached him. "Well done, Chief." Derek nodded and returned to a row of senior officers waiting to shake his hand. Over the next days, subtle shifts rippled across the station. Deputy reports surfaced. Anonymous notes detailing Conley's brusque conduct in prior traffic stops, Brooks' tendency to exaggerate minor infractions. Captain Reyes organized interviews. 3 officers, previously silent, came forward with stories of intimidation and mishandled evidence. By the end of the week, the inquiry panel had assembled a compelling dossier: emails, radio transcripts, witness statements documenting Conley and Brooks' pattern of misconduct. When the panel met with Derek, he reviewed the evidence with clinical detachment. "Proceed with formal charges," he instructed. On Monday morning, Conley and Brooks were summoned to the chief's office. They entered with defiant swagger, but faltered when they saw the folders lining Derek's desk. He offered them each a seat. Their eyes darted as he spoke. "Sergeant Conley, Officer Brooks, the department has lost confidence in your ability to enforce the law impartially. I'm placing you on administrative leave, pending disciplinary proceedings." Brooks stammered, "Chief, you can't." Derek's gaze was unwavering. "Consider this an opportunity to reflect on the responsibilities that come with a badge. Our community deserves integrity at every level." They left in silence. The station fell into a tentative calm, one where respect no longer hinged on fear. That evening, Derek returned to his modest home on Elm Street. He found a letter slipped under his door, a photograph of his wife and young son, and a typed threat: "Turn back or your family pays." His chest tightened, anger flaring. He dialed Captain Reyes. "We have a threat. Let's convene." As he prepared for the next battle, Derek Wallace felt no doubt. He had ascended to lead, and would protect both his community and family, guided by the very principles his former tormentors had undermined. His night stranded in snow had become the crucible forging a leader determined to restore justice. The next morning, the precinct hummed with a different energy. Officers whispered in corners, eyeing Conley and Brooks' empty desks. Captain Reyes had posted a call for any personnel with knowledge of misconduct to come forward. By midday, Deputy Luis Martinez slipped into Reyes' office, visibly shaken but resolute. "Captain, I have something," Martinez began, his voice low. "It's about Sergeant Conley." He slid a manila envelope across the desk. Inside lay copies of internal emails, Conley instructing a substation dispatcher to delay medical assistance so she could teach. Martinez's eyes flicked with guilt, a lesson. Another note detailed Brooks' habit of falsifying minor citations to inflate arrest quotas. Reyes exchanged a look with Derek, who listened quietly behind her. "Thank you, Deputy. This will go straight to the inquiry panel." Martinez nodded and left, relief washing over his face. By afternoon, 2 more officers arrived. Officer Priya Singh, who brought audio recordings of Brooks berating a teenage suspect to tears, and investigator Mark Gill, with police report photocopies showing that Conley repeatedly downgraded complaint follow UPS to closed no action, without proper investigation. Reyes convened the panel in a glass-walled conference room. Derek began the session. "We have credible, documented evidence of abuse and cover UPS by Conley and Brooks. We will honor those who came forward. This is the accountability we promised." Conley and Brooks, now on administrative leave, had been barred from precinct grounds. Still, rumors swirled that they had allies in the union. Derek knew the potential for pushback was high, but he also knew the cost of silence. If the department was to heal, every voice mattered. That evening, Derek and Reyes dined in his office, pizza boxes on a small table, tired but determined. "They'll claim we're witch hunters," Reyes said. Derek nodded. "Let them. We have facts. It's our duty to proceed." Meanwhile, the community took note. News of the inquiry leaked to local reporters, prompting calls from the mayor's office asking Derek for updates. He released a brief statement reaffirming the investigation's confidentiality and thanking deputies for their integrity. As days passed, more whistleblowers surfaced: a records clerk who had discovered deleted entries, a canine handler who witnessed Brooks' unauthorized use of his canine during a routine welfare check, and a county prosecutor who shared instances where Conley's unprofessional testimony nearly derailed cases. With each new revelation, the dossier swelled. Derek spent late nights in his office, reviewing statements, verifying details, and preparing subpoenas. He coordinated with Internal Affairs and the County District Attorney's Office to ensure every document and witness would stand up under scrutiny. One crisp morning, Hayes County District Attorney Judith Marks visited the station. "Chief Wallace," she said, examining a sheaf of reports, "this is substantial. My office will file formal charges once you greenlight it." Derek extended his hand. "Thank you, DA. We'll deliver the final report this afternoon." In the bullpen, Conley's former colleagues watched with tension. Some officers who had once admired her now whispered criticisms, others who feared Brooks found courage in Derek's leadership. The culture shift was underway, an undercurrent that would not be easily reversed. By sunset, Derek signed the final memo. He looked across the empty briefing room. The once icy resentment toward him had thawed into a cautious respect. In that moment, he understood that his journey from a stranded traveler to chief had become more than personal vindication. It had sparked a reckoning that would reshape the entire department. At 10 a.m. sharp, Derek sat behind his imposing oak desk as his assistant announced, "Sergeant Conley and Officer Brooks are here, Chief." They entered with forced composure, Conley's shoulders squared, Brooks' face a tight mask. Derek gestured to 2 chairs. "Please sit." Conley's voice trembled with anger. "Chief, I demand to know why I'm being summoned. I have rights." Derek placed the inquiry panel's final report before her. "These are sworn statements, audio recordings, email chains, and official records. They outline misconduct spanning months, abuse of detainees, falsified citation quotas, and obstruction of justice." Brooks leaned forward. "This is a setup. I demand proof. Derek's tone was unwavering. Proof is here. Deputy Singh's recordings, Martinez's emails, Gill's documents. Even the district attorney sees probable cause. Conley's composure cracked. You can't do this, Derek rose, voice calm but firm. Sergeant Conley, you're suspended indefinitely, pending criminal proceedings. You may collect personal belongings but will not return until cleared. Brooks exploded. This is tyranny. Derek met his gaze. No, Officer Brooks. This is accountability. You'll have your day in court. He pressed the intercom. Captain Reyes, please escort Sergeant Conley and Officer Brooks. Within moments, 2 uniformed officers appeared. As they were led out, Conley hissed, "You'll regret this, Wallace." Derek returned to his seat, breathing evenly. He addressed the assembled senior staff, "We've demonstrated our commitment to justice. Now we rebuild trust." Later, word of the suspension spread across town, sparking debate at the local cafe, among city council members, and in quiet living rooms. Some decried Derek's actions as too harsh, many praised his courage. That evening, as dusk fell, Derek drove home under heavy guard. His mind replayed the day's events until he noticed an envelope wedged under his front door. Inside was a grainy photo of his son's soccer game and a note, "Your choice will cost them." A chill ran down Derek's spine. He called Angela Reyes, then Captain Thomas Murphy, his most trusted lieutenant. "Secure the Wallace residence and monitor for any suspicious activity," he ordered. Overnight, the precinct received a report. Patrol officer Jenna Pierce was found unconscious in her cruiser, radio disabled. A small cross-wired device under the dashboard suggested sabotage. Pierce was rushed to medical, stable but shaken. Derek and Thomas visited her in the hospital. Her voice trembled. "I heard someone outside, tried to call in, then blacked out." Derek clenched his jaw. "Thank you, operator." Outside, he turned to Thomas. "Conley and Brooks widened this conflict beyond professional. They'll pay." Back at the station, CSI specialists examined Pierce's cruiser and recovered fingerprints on the tampering device, belonging not to Conley or Brooks, but to an associate known to operate in the shadows of the department. Derek expanded the investigation, seeking connections between that ally and the suspended pair. 2 days later, an internal audit uncovered bank transfers, funds from Officer Brooks's personal account sent to an informant in another precinct, accompanied by emails requesting planted evidence against Derek. The informant, fearing reprisal, provided a recorded phone conversation. Derek summoned the board next morning. Conley and Brooks entered again, this time pale. On the conference table lay the audit and the audio transcript, Brooks's voice casually requesting a sample of Wallace's communications, in exchange for cash. Derek spoke with icy clarity, "You attempted to subvert justice with bribery. Effective immediately, you are terminated and turned over to the district attorney." Their protests died on their lips as security moved in. The board voted unanimously to support Derek's recommendation. In the weeks after the scandal, Riverside County PD transformed. Officers now attended weekly ethics and empathy seminars led by Angela Reyes. Community advisory boards formed, allowing residents to voice concerns directly to leadership. Derek instituted ride-alongs with local leaders, including Reverend Marcus Lynn and school principal Sarah Kim, bridging gaps between department and community. Officer Martinez was promoted to sergeant for his whistleblower courage. Captain Murphy established a Truth Commission to review closed cases, reopening those affected by Conley and Brooks's misconduct. Public morale soared. Citizens complimented deputies for respectful conduct. For the first time in years, crime report surveys showed increased trust in law enforcement. 3 months after Derek's appointment, he unveiled a new community policing center in downtown Riverside, a transparent glass building designed for public engagement. At the ribbon cutting, Mayor Elena Torres praised the transformation. Chief Wallace has shown us that true leadership demands courage and compassion. Derek stepped forward. This center stands for accountability and partnership, he said. When fear ruled these halls, we failed our community. Now, we rise by serving with honor. He dedicated the center's main conference room to Sergeant Conley's and Officer Brooks's victims, symbolizing the triumph of integrity over intimidation. As dusk closed in, Derek walked the halls, pausing to watch deputies debrief undercover officers, community volunteers planning outreach events, and citizens filing suggestions. When he returned home that night, the threat note was gone, but he knew the battle for justice never truly ends. Yet with integrity as his shield, Derek Wallace was ready for whatever came next.